Welcome back to Section 2 of our Ultimate Wealth Masterclass Explainer. In the first part, we really ripped into the illusion of the modern banking system, right? We looked at why fiat currency is basically a melting ice cube designed to drain your family's purchasing power. But now, we've got to address the absolute most critical question. It's the one thing that stops 99% of regular people from stepping into the future. If there is no central bank, no government, and literally no CEO running a decentralized currency like Bitcoin, how on earth can we actually trust it? What stops a brilliant hacker from just changing the numbers inside the computer system and stealing billions of dollars out of thin air? Well, according to the source material, the answer lies inside an unhackable digital architecture known as the blockchain.
So how do you trust a currency with no CEO? It's a completely logical question. I mean, we're so used to having a human manager in charge. But the masterclass points out that this very question is the massive friction point holding most people back. If nobody is at the wheel, who protects the money? We're going to neutrally examine exactly how the source answers this.
And the source makes a really bold 90-second promise right here. Most people think blockchain is just, a complex database for tech nerds. But the text argues it is actually the most powerful trust machine ever invented by mankind. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the exact mathematical reasons presented in the masterclass as to why it is structurally impossible for anyone, even a massive government or a dictator, to shut this network down. Let's look at the mechanics.
To really grasp Section 1, the immutable digital ledger, you have to picture a giant public notebook. It's a brilliant analogy used in the text to explain how this all works.
Think about it like this. Imagine a simple notebook where every single financial transaction ever made is written down with absolute precision. In the traditional financial world, this notebook is completely hidden from you. It's locked away in a highly secure, centralized bank vault. The masterclass argues that this structure leaves you powerless. If the bank decides to alter a transaction, or if a government wants to just freeze your funds, they simply change the numbers inside their private database. Blockchain, on the other hand, flips this entirely upside down through absolute decentralization.
So instead of keeping one copy of the notebook inside a central bank vault, Satoshi Nakamoto designed a system utilizing what are called nodes. Nodes are basically millions of independent computers running all over the world. And here's the kicker. Every single one of them holds an exact copy of this identical digital notebook. They all have the exact same records.
Let's walk through the real-time mechanics of this, because it's pretty wild to see a transaction happen without a human manager. Step 1. When you send funds, it doesn't wait for a bank teller. It is instantly broadcast to the entire global network. Step 2. All these computers use highly complex mathematical puzzles to verify that you actually own the funds you're trying to spend. Step 3. The network reaches a consensus. Basically, they all agree. Yep, the math checks out. And finally, Step 4. The transaction is permanently locked inside a digital block and chained to the previous block forever. It literally becomes an immutable, unchangeable history of data.
Which brings us to Section 2, the 51% rule. This is the core security mechanism of the blockchain. Pay close attention here, because this is exactly where the masterclass claims physical tampering becomes impossible.
Because this network is totally distributed, a hacker can't just hack one computer to fake a transaction and steal your wealth. To pull that off, mathematically, they would have to successfully hack more than 51% of all the millions of computers across the entire planet. And they would have to do it at the exact same time.
The text concludes that because pulling off a hack of that scale is mathematically and financially impossible, the blockchain provides a level of security that no traditional bank could ever dream of matching. It is, by its very structural design, completely unhackable. Now, moving into Section 3, true ownership and self-custody. What does this incredible technological power actually mean for you? Well, it introduces a massive, completely life-changing shift in personal responsibility. The source sets up a really stark contrast to explain this. It argues that in the old financial matrix, you don't actually own your assets. You really just own a claim check issued by a bank. If that bank goes under or decides to restrict your access, poof, your wealth simply vanishes. But in the decentralized universe, you practice self-custody. Self-custody is such an empowering idea in this masterclass. It means exactly what it sounds like. You literally become your own personal central bank. You, and only you, hold the literal private keys to your digital estate.
Now, we need to be clear. A private key isn't just your standard email password. It is a highly advanced cryptographic string of data The source emphasizes that this key is the ultimate, absolute proof of your ownership over a specific location on the global blockchain ledger. Whoever holds that key holds the wealth. Period.
So how do you keep a key like that safe? The Masterclass introduces the power of cold storage. By keeping your private keys inside an isolated, offline hardware device, you completely remove your assets from the vulnerable internet infrastructure. The text makes some incredibly strong claims here. It argues that because of this offline isolation, absolutely no corporate platform, no corrupt politician, and no international banking cartel can ever touch, freeze, or confiscate your capital without your explicit permission.
And this leads to a pretty stunning physical reality that the source uses to wrap up the argument. Thanks to this architecture of trust, you have the ability to carry $1 billion worth of value across international borders inside a piece of hardware smaller than a USB thumb drive. Or, even crazier, you could transport your entire fortune just by safely memorizing a 12-word seed phrase perfectly in your head. It's like magic.
It really is a magic trick of mathematics and technology. The blockchain removes the middleman and hands absolute control along with absolute responsibility directly back to you. Which leaves us with a pretty massive question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. Are you ready to take on the responsibility of becoming your own central bank? That does it for our breakdown of Section 2 of this masterclass. It definitely leaves us eager to dive into what comes next.